Okay guys, I'm going to explain what I'm doing here. I've got that plate centered up in the forejaw, and I'm going to check and make sure it's close enough. It doesn't have to be precise. I mean, I could cut this with a torch, but I want a good circle so that I can weld it easier. And I've got a machine, so why not? So right now you can see down in there, got that dot centered up with this live center. So now I'm going to turn on the machine and start spinning, and we'll check it out. The clutch is up here. Got it going in low gear. Alexa decided to talk to us. This is the slowest speed this lathe will go. That's 13 revolutions. This is a pretty decent speed machine. Maybe we'll get it cranking up there to high gear at 1127. Don't you love these old cast iron plates? Got another one down here. Those don't wear out. You know, that's hard to see. Let me get us some markers so we can see it. Pardon me while I turn the machine on. I'm just going to mark this space here where we can see it a little bit better. Isn't that cool? I love paint markers. Well, let's see, where were we? You know, another guy I know would take advantage of this little pattern. I wouldn't do that. Like hell I wouldn't. You're getting sleepy. Sleepy. Your eyes are closing. Your hand is automatically reaching for the subscribe button. You press it 15 or 20 times. And then you reach up and you click the like button. And oh yes, remember to hit the bell. Ring the bell. Ring the bell. Ring the bell. Ring the bell. When I clap my hands, you will cluck like a chicken. Well, that didn't work. All right, where were we? Enough of this foolishness. On to some machine work. Houston, we have a problem. Hi guys. Well, as you just saw, we seem to have a slight problem. The tool I have is not long enough, and I can either spend a lot of time grinding a new one, But I come up with another way. I'm going to go ahead and weld the plates on these, and then the 4-jaw can hold that and stick it on out far enough to where we can clear it. When I made these bottom plates, I made them exactly 1 inch larger than the square tubing. So I'm just going to take a couple of 1/2 inch bits, put them there in the corner, line that up. Make sure it's lined up over there. It's pretty close. And we're going to tack this up and take care of that little problem. I think I told you that I've been running around looking for a new bottle of C10 or 90-10 mix. Both of these bottles were the C25 or 75-25. And I own these bottles. I don't like to pay rent on things that sit around a lot. One was my backup. Well, I finally found a place that I could trade one of my C25 bottles for a C10. And it only took 4 days. But there it is, brand new bottle. And even better, I found the holy grail of gas suppliers. They made this bottle up for me as I was driving from College Station, Texas to Conroe. Their store in Conroe actually fills all these bottles. So that problem's solved. But right now I don't want to go through the time and trouble to set it up for pulse MIG. So I've backed up the old 140 cart, and we're going to use some of its C25 gas to work on the 225. I'm going to tack these things up, and then we can turn them. Turn the 225 on and see what it does when it starts up. It blinks lights at me. And it says Miller, 245 volts. Mild steel, material thickness 1/8. I'm going to bump that on up to 1/4 inch. That gives me a 20.5 volts and 374 inches per minute. And basically I'm going to tack these plates on the inside. I can reach in there and tack it. And then that way I'll have an uninterrupted bead on the outside. I don't have to grind out the tacks or anything. I'm just going to tack these, so I'm not going to put on my sleeves. Give it a shot. I'm hoping it doesn't move too much while I'm doing that. That's still good. That's still good. That's still good. Well, that'll give you a good ground. Huh. I have to do something to this table. Well, that tacked up nice. I'm going to just go ahead and run a couple beads while we're at it. Now that's what my Miller-Matic's set on. That's auto set feature. You can adjust it up and down if you like. You'll notice the fan still hasn't come on. And inside was the tack. Put 4 little tacks in there. And then this is the bead. Kind of hard to get out. I wish I had a turntable. And then this was the first one when I first started on it. Come on, Mr. Camera. Let's get a little bit better picture. There you go. Kind of got out of position there in the middle. Now I'll grind out those 2 sides there and see if I can tie it in well. This way I'll be able to clamp onto this and make that circle. At least that's the plan. Got the old 2-bottle system here going. Kind of wish I'd gotten a 2-bottle cart, but I didn't see that offered. I know, you got a machine shop. Make one. Grab my stool. We weld a little bit better with my stool. Seems I reached a little spot in my wire that just wasn't very smooth. Yeah, that's not feeding very well at all. When you hold the trigger down without welding on it, it says jog on the... Let's see if we can figure out what's going on. Well, I'm stripping off the top layer of this wire, and it looks to be much better underneath it, so let's just continue on that. Well, this isn't a fair test. So, let's put some new wire in it, shall we? There we go. I see that. It looks pretty good, but it still feels a little rough. So we're just going to maybe take this one to the scrapyard. This one goes over the top. having a hard time. It doesn't want to fit into that hole. But I guess as long as it hits that next one, it'll be okay. It's hard to do this without getting in you guys' way. So I blame it all on you. My wife blames everything on me, so I get to blame something on somebody else now. Well, that was a smooth move. You don't want this to happen. There's enough out there that I can get it into it without. Remember I told you our frogs are going crazy? That's one of them, auditioning for a part. Doesn't realize there's only about 60 of you that'll ever see this. All right, we got it threaded through there. Back this off. There it goes. Had to back that off quite a ways. All right, let's see if it'll feed. All that was that dirt and rust coming off of that other roller. Down to 3 again. This looks to be the tension. Just loosen that up some. I can feel it coming up the tube. Here's Johnny. All right. I promise I'm going to keep the corny jokes to a minimum tonight. All right, tap it up a little bit. All right, this will be a really fair test. Fresh out of the package wire, C25. Let's go see what it does. I've been noticing that I'm having to go pretty slow, but that's okay because that kind of, the way I'm used to welding is back and forth motion on them, kind of tying in, going up and down, tying in the edges. It makes a nice flat bead doing that on this setting. So I'm going to continue on for a while and see what it looks like with some fresh wire. The fan works. I don't think that will leak. Brush it off a little bit. Hot, hot. Pick it up and get a little closer. It's hot, hot, hot. All right. So you can see this one's kind of flat in here. I was either going too fast or need a little bit more wire speed. When I slowed down, it started bellying up some. You know, this stuff isn't critical. It's for some B stands. And the way that we put these on, every time it rains, it refills these cups. So, see, that's pretty flat right in there. It's maybe a little too flat. Okay, let me get you back. As you guys know, I don't have a big budget for filming equipment, so you guys got to stay out of there, out of the danger zone. Tell you one thing I'm going to order is another one of the heat pads that you can put around your hand. I've had some, but they always fall apart or get lost. But when I ordered my TIG fingers from Jody at weldingtipsin.com, I noticed that he had a pad, so I'm going to buy a couple of them and see if they work well. A little bit farther away seemed to help. Can you guys see? I tried to get this newfangled camera to go on focus. I think it might do better, not so much light. Let me get this pair of pliers and this one I just had to tie in those two places. Where it's real bright on the left is the tie-in. Let's see. And then we tied in over here on this side. Only 4 more to go. Oh, look at this, our old friend. You are oh, I'm sorry. My wife says I can't do that anymore. I asked her, why? Is it illegal? And she says, I don't think so. I said, well, is it unethical? And she says, I don't think so. I said, well, then why? And she says, because I think it's tacky. So if my wife thinks it's tacky, I'm not allowed to do it anymore. Oh well. You know how you start watching different YouTube channels? You get mesmerized. I watch one channel that's out of Russia. It's the Russian Bucket Factory. And all these guys do is make repairs and new buckets for excavators, and they repair the booms on them. Just heavy material. And I want to yell at them every time. I see them sitting there lining up basically where the excavator arm attaches. They got some big pins and circles, and they have to get these two plates perfectly parallel. I sit there and I watch them, and I start yelling at the dadgum computer screen. They've never heard of using a template or a gauge block or anything. They sit there and they measure 58,000 times. How they ever get it done, I don't know. Just don't know. Frankly, a $40 piece of plywood could be cut so quickly to act as a gauge block between those things, get them parallel and exactly the same size, and then I could use it over and over again. Make it out of steel if you're afraid of it getting dented. Not these guys. I think they get paid by the hour. Guys can watch that. Don't look at that. Do not look at that, okay? Now it can't be exactly because these square tubing like this, they bend it out of a flat sheet. Radiuses, then they weld it here, and from the corners it always indents a little bit, but this is just for a B stand, it doesn't matter. I think I want it just a little bit hotter and a little bit faster wire speed. I don't really care if I'm, warping this a little bit as I weld. I mean, I just welded like 12 inches. Well, these are 5 inches, so I welded 10 inches without stopping. And if I was trying to make this super precise, I'd stop and just weld little short segments. But once again, for a B stand. Hey, I saw you watching that. Now, if this was really super critical, I'd be grinding that edge of my start and my stop. But what I do on stuff like this is I push the weld ahead of it. And so it makes it real thin right there. So I have time to come back and melt that into it and then climb up and then continue going. It's sort of like a cheap and easy way to make that a grind, thin it down, and then I can go back over it nicely without grinding it. It's easy to do on the finish of the weld. It's harder to do on the start, and I don't always do that. But usually by the time I get around to that, I'm pushing it, and I could see my rod going to that crevice really well. Fill it up, and then back off. Oh no, it got burnt. What a shame. Thanks for watching.